everybody, this is Sarahscopic and you're watching Traffic Musings. Tell me in the comments below, do you write fan fiction? Yes or no? Sound off in the comments. It is 44 degrees and I am turning on the AC and getting my jacket off. Woo! Welcome to Michigan. Oh boy. So today has been a very strange, emotionally draining day. It's only been halfway through the day. I still have the other half of the way the day to go through, but that's not what I'm going to talk about. But since I'm already emotionally vulnerable and anxious within myself, I felt it would be an excellent opportunity to talk to you all about something also equally somewhat emotionally vulnerable and very embarrassing, because what better time to talk about than that? That's right, folks. I'm going to talk to you about my history with fan fiction. Yeah, this is gonna get real awkward real fast. I mean, there's nothing really that embarrassing to say about my history with fan fiction because I don't do lemons. For those who don't know what that is, you can look that up and know for yourself. So, but it's just kind of a weird, of course it's embarrassing sometimes to talk about. It's always, fan fiction is always one of those things that when you find somebody else who's done it, you're like, yes, you've done it too? Yes, okay, I'm not weird. We both did this. We're all good. And you just kind of come in that camaraderie of, well, this is embarrassing, even though, so many people do it, even if they don't necessarily call it fan fiction. Everybody kind of does this to a certain degree, but still, there's always that twinge of awkwardness, and I'm one of those people that, the whole, 50 Shades of Grey thing, for those who don't know, if you don't know this, which, if you're watching my channel, you're probably a demographic who already does know this, but 50 Shades of Grey was a fan fiction of Twilight that they then got published and redid the names and all the other identifying features and stuff like that. And I mean, besides all the other extremely problematic aspects with those book series, the main thing I remember when it first came out that I was mad about is I was like, no, fan fiction is not meant to be published for money. You put that on the internet under a username and you did that for free because it was embarrassing. That's what that was supposed to be. I mean, whatever. It is very strange, the idea of doing fan fiction for money. I do feel very strange about that, but I guess that comes into a fair use argument, and whatever. I mean, that's not what this is going to talk about. That's not what my point is. My point is my personal history with fan fiction and shipping. Here we go. Let's start from the top. The important thing to keep in mind is that I can't really talk about fan fiction without also telling you my history of using forums and communities and stuff like that with the things I was interested in. They go very tightly hand in hand, which makes sense. I mean, fan fiction is, if you publish it online, is meant to be very much a community-oriented thing. So that's not really that weird, but just keep in mind that it's very tied, it's very tied tightly to my history of forums and community and such like that. So the very first fandom I ever really got into when I was little, really got into, was the Nancy Drew games. I've probably talked to them at length in scatterings of random episodes of my Let's Plays and on here probably, and that's a whole other story. But the Nancy Drew computer games, I got into them kind of around when they first started, but I got the first games when they first came out. Then I stopped playing for a while, and by that I mean probably 3 to 4 years, because I had gotten stuck in those games and didn't know what a walkthrough was back then. And then I found the forums because my mother then got me another game from that series years later, and I got stuck again, and then that's when I knew how to use the internet. Looked up Google, found out that there were forums you could look up, and it was a community. I was probably 11. I don't think I was 10. I think I was older than that. I was probably 11 or 12 when I first found the Nancy Drew forums. This was back when, it was so funny, if you were under the age of 13, you had to get a parent's signature to participate in the forums, and so my father had to fax a thing, and it was really funny because he told me oh, you should have just lied about your age, because it was so encumbersome, and it was just annoying. But at the time, I was like, no, gotta follow the rules, because I was super big on internet safety back then, and I was super careful about what I said. It was pretty funny. You can find me still on the Nancy Drew forums. I'll tell you, I am ScalesRL. That was my username, and that was because that was my dad's email address. When I had to pick a username, I didn't really understand the concept of a username back then, because I think this was before I got AIM. Yeah, it had to be. So I didn't understand the concept of a username, and so my father was like, well, I just use my email. I use ScalesRL. Which the reason that's kind of funny is because that actually has one of the most major personal information in my thing, has my last name, which is really bad, at the time, but I was like, oh, whatever, it's fine. And so it was really awkward because I was on the forums and I got to know people, and they just assumed it had to do with fish, that's what the scale stood for. They had no idea what RL was, and I just didn't correct them. I was like, yep, I'm obsessed with fish. So anyway, I made a huge community on there. It's really funny because you can still see some of my old posts, and I was able to log in at one point and find like my old I didn't have PMs back then, but I could find like old messages I wrote to people and like all these random friends I had made on there. Anyway, so in the Nancy Drew boards, you have to understand that in those boards, they had a very strict way of how they handled the boards and stuff like that, strict in language and strict what you could do. And so they had like a thing called the library where it was basically fan fiction. You could make up stories of Nancy Drew. You know, you just made up a mystery that Nancy Drew went on. But because they were so worried about content with those things, because it was so free reign, they actually had a system where like you would make it and then it had to be looked at by a moderator before it could get posted. So there was no community aspect of it. That was the problem. So I did not get into it because there was no like, you couldn't have people that responded with criticism of it. It was just literally called a library. And so once they felt that your story was good and it was okay, they would put it on the forum and people could just read it, but they couldn't comment on it. However, there was another section of the boards called alternative endings, which is honestly the true, like, whole idea of fan fiction. Alternative endings was basically when you rewrote the ending of a game. So you took one of the games and you were like, I think this person should have done it. And so you rewrote the ending, basically. It was a fan fiction. You redid it. So I totally got into that. I was like, cool, I'm going to rewrite an ending of one of my favorite games. I forget why. I think I wanted it to do with something else. I was probably, I may have been 13 at the time. I was probably younger, and I wrote my first Nancy Drew fan fiction, and it was one of those weird things where like I had no idea what I was going with the story. I was literally making it up as I was going. I even did a shipping. I shipped Nancy not with Ned Nickerson, which doesn't make any sense. That's like the canon shipping, but I shipped her with somebody completely different. That made no sense, and I only did it just because I thought he was cool. Like it wasn't even my favorite character in the game. I didn't even really like this character that much, but I don't know why. I think I read somewhere some other people thought they would be cute together, so I just went with it. And so I made this whole really weird, like, alternative ending to one of my favorite games, and people really liked it. I got really good response from it. And so I finished that one, and I wrote an alternative ending for another game, and people really liked that one. And I think I did this I know for sure I did 2 games. I feel like I did 3. I don't know if I actually ever finished the 3rd one. I know the two of the games I did it for, but I can't remember. No. I did it for 3 games. Now I remember all the games in my head. I did it for 3 games. And I think I finished them all. I have to look these up. Oh my gosh. And the writing was, of course, atrocious. I mean, this was over 10 years ago that I did this. So the writing was awful. And, you know, it was cheesy and it was ridiculous. And I was doing shipping without even realizing it. I was like shipping all my other random characters together because why not? And I did not even have any coherence to my endings and stories. I just kind of went with what I thought would sound cool. And there was one story I specifically remembered I wrote that I literally was like going in one direction for it, and then I thought in my head, oh, wouldn't this be a funny twist? I don't know how this is gonna make sense. I don't know how I'm gonna make the ending make any sense, but would this be a funny twist? And I did it, and I just went with it, and people thought it was amazing. So of course, I had no plan for it. I managed to make it work out, but I remember, like, I had no plans. I was like, oh, this would be a funny twist. I remember it had to do with the fact that somebody dyed their hair. It was one of those things, like, we thought we had this whole thing figured out because we're like, oh, this person's a redhead. And then I said, nope, she dyed her hair, and it was really important to the plot, I swear. Anyway, so yeah, that was like my first introduction to fanfiction. Well, I kind of went away. I kind of grew out of the Nancy Drew games and the forums, mostly because the forums were so stifling, and I wanted to move on to something else. And so the forums that taught me all about shipping and like what actually fanfiction was actually a forum I never joined, and it was the Code Lyoko forums. I got super into Code Lyoko when I was younger, and I didn't really, I didn't know if I wanted to join other forums just because of my last experience. It was really arduous and stuff like that, and this one wouldn't have been, but I was just kind of watching from afar, and I would read some of the fan fiction. They had like a weird FAQ page that explained what shipping was, and so that was when I literally had like my introduction, like, oh, this is what shipping is, and I was like, oh, I've been doing that this whole time. I didn't know there was a term for this, you know? And also they had a lot of fan fiction. That's when I kind of understood what fan fiction was. So like Code Lyoko, I didn't join the fan forums for it, but like it's what taught me everything that I understood about fandom. So it was really weird. I would like read the fan fiction and such, and I would, you know, read about all the FAQ that they had on hand. But then it taught me for my next forum that I would participate for a good many years of my life, which was the Phoenix Wright forums. So what happened was, I got into the Phoenix Wright games. Thank you. I got into the Phoenix Wright games, and I wanted to see if there was like a forum for it, because I really like the Nancy Drew games, and so I thought the same thing, and of course there was, courtrecords.net. And at first I wasn't gonna join it, but then like I had this idea, this burning idea for a shipping fan fiction, and I wanted to write it, and it was burned into like my soul. Like I was reading this one fan fiction super late at night. This is so weird. This is super weird. I remember I was reading someone's fan fiction super late at night, and they were shipping 2 other characters in the game, but they were basically doing unrequited fan fiction of one of the characters. So like they shipped 2 others. I shipped one of those with a different character, and she was writing a fan fiction for the perspective of that character, of this unrequited love for the one I shipped for. That was really confusing. She did a shipping of A and B. I shipped B and C. She did a ship about how C was in love with B, but she could never have him because B loved A. There you go. I explained it. So I read her story, and it was just like, it hurt like to read it, because I was like, no, it's unrequited love, and I shipped these 2. This is awful. And that, like, I read that like late into the night, and I had to go to bed, and at night I like had a dream. I had a dream of this fan fiction I wanted to write of characters B and C, and it's so stupid when I say it out loud. Anyway, and I wanted to write it, and sorry, I'm just gonna shut her up for a little bit. And so I had this dream where it was like all in my head. I usually don't have like dreams this crystallized in my head of like how I want it to go, but for some reason I like dreamed like of how this story would go, like where it would begin, where it would end, what they would say, and stuff like that. And I was like, oh man, and I thought about it. So finally I jumped it, I went for it, I joined the forum. And basically, like, I made another couple posts on there, like, of talking about the game, but otherwise, my main reason for joining the forum was to write this fan fiction. And so I did. And I wrote a chapter of it, and keep in mind, this is one of those forums, like, I was of the, you know, Nancy Drew forums, where, like, I was super worried about following the rules, or else, like, to get banned. So, like, double posting was, like, a serious no-no, and I saw in this forum was also a no-no, but they didn't really care. I mean, you couldn't double post, except for certain cases. So, I had posted the first chapter of the story, and I didn't get a lot of hits, and I was really, really sad. I was like, oh man. So I posted this, I didn't get anybody I saw people read it, you can see people read it, but I didn't have anybody respond to it, so I was like, oh, that's sad. So then I made a second, you know, a second chapter or whatever. I got like a couple responses, but then I did something that made me learn about advertisement. I went to, you could have people who would do signatures for you for free. I mean, you just like requested something, and people with graphic design skills would make stuff for you. So I had a design for an advertisement for my fan fiction, and so someone made it, and so then I made it, you know, I had it that it was a clickable link, you know, you could click on it and click to see the story. And then I started doing what was super smart, which is I just started posting, you know, other places around the forum, you know, just introducing myself, saying my own thoughts and stuff, and all of a sudden, boom, the traffic to my fanfic went crazy, because people saw the signature, which was beautiful, and like it looked really, you know, the way I had it imagined it and the way she designed it was perfect, and so people were clicking on it. I could tell, like, the traffic was crazy, and so people were clicking on it and reading my story, and people were in love with it. It was so weird, and so I'm still like responding, and so I finally, even when I finished the story, I was still getting people reading my story afterwards. It became my most popular fan fiction on there, and so then I did another one that was short, and people liked that one, and then I was doing a really ambitious one that wasn't even really a pair. It wasn't a shipping fanfic like the other 2 were. It was something very different. I never finished it though. I didn't really officially quit the forums, but I was in high school. Things were really tough at high school at the time. I didn't have a lot of time to dedicate to the forums and do stuff for them, so I just kind of slowly stopped going on there, which was too bad, because I made some pretty interesting friendships on there, people I would talk to and stuff like that, and they've all left at this point. But it was really interesting, and so I never updated it, I never finished it. And to be honest, part of it too is I didn't really know where I was going with it, and so it was one of those fanfic where it was the first time I really had to plan something. All the other fanfiction, I kind of just wrote off the cuff. I never really planned it, but this one I had to, and I really couldn't. So, which is disappointing, but that's okay. Yeah, I ain't linking my fanfiction on here. I wrote those literally like 10 years ago, so I'm just like, oh no, thank you. Let's not do that. But you guys can probably find it. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. I hope something amazing happens to you. Without further ado, I hope to see you all in the next episode. Bye!